Hello, everyone. Welcome you all for attending this webinar on digital financial inclusion for refugees, asylum seekers, women, disabled, and elderly persons. In the next 90 minutes of webinar time, with an informative presentation and input, we are set for an engaging discussion on digital financial inclusion. We are going to have special speakers and guest representatives from UNHCR, WFP, Jaded Jordan, and Al Amal Bank from Yemen. Let's make the most of this valuable opportunity. And let me introduce myself and my colleague, the co-moderator Branko Vehnert. Hi, I'm Rafi Onesyan from Yerevan, Armenia. Moved to Armenia during the Syrian war, where I born and lived in Aleppo city for 25 years. I'm senior training expert and coordinator with more than 10 years of experience in financial inclusion, responsible finance, financial education, and SME business development. I have been working on many projects across multiple sectors, including engineering, financial, and economic sector. And joining me, Branko Vehnert, financial system development expert with 17 years of experience working with various development agencies, including GIZ, ADB. Branko specializes in sustainable and green finance, as well as financial inclusion through digital financial services. We are glad to guide today's webinar on digital financial inclusion. Let's get started, but first with some technical tips. Dear participants, during our webinar, we are going to offer you simultaneous translation from Arabic to English and from English to Arabic. You can switch between the channels from the dialog box. So when you joined our webinar, if you selected the language, then you did it. If not, if you missed the dialog, the box, go to more options or the three dots and select your preferred language. If you are bilingual, you can keep the original language channel. If not, you can select one of the offered languages, Arabic or English. And by selecting on confirm, you will hear from the respective audio channel. And also, we are going to use our chat box during the webinar. So feel free to send your messages, questions during the webinar. We are going to track the chat box and take up your questions whenever it's possible. And also, for your intention, we are going to use during the webinar a couple of polls that will appear as a pop-up window on your screen. So whenever the speaker will have a question or poll, our IT expert will going to release the poll. You are going to have it as a pop-up window on your screen in case you are using the MS Teams program or application. If you are joining us through browser, then you are going to find the respective poll question in the chat box. For both cases, whenever you choose your answer, please don't forget to submit it. This is in general the technical tips. During the webinar, we are looking forward for active participation from your end. But before we proceed, I'm pleased to welcome Ms. Kauthar Zobi, the technical advisor at DigiCensus. Kauthar represents Jaded Jordan, the founder of this webinar series. We are grateful for Jaded Jordan for their support in making these webinars possible. Dear Kauthar, the floor is yours. Please share your welcoming remarks with us.
Thank you, Rafi. It's a very interesting session, and thank you for everybody to having to book your time and to escape your busy schedule to be part of this session. As you would know that digital financial inclusion for vulnerables are near and dear to Digitense's hearts. Actually, our focus in Digitenses in Jordan was really focusing on financial inclusion for vulnerable segments in Jordan, especially refugees, women, and vulnerable Jordanians in the hosting communities. Through as well digital financial services. So this session will provide you like a lens or a snapshot what's happening in Jordan, but as well as what is also a different methods and different case studies from different regions. So I'm very happy to have you here, and I'm really excited for our distinguished speakers and as well our knowledgeable facilitators and organizers. Thank you, and please make the most of it. And the mic is yours, Rafi, now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kausar. Thank you for your remarks. Well, welcome again to the third session of our webinar series, following the success of two previous sessions on open finance and consent management. Today, we are delighted to focus our attention on Jordan's and other countries' remarkable steps in promoting digital financial inclusion for vulnerable individuals, including refugees, labor migrants over the past years. In this digital era, financial services have evolved beyond conventional boundaries, offering not only seamless funds transfers among family members and across borders, but also paving the way towards greater financial independence. Looking ahead, these services hold the potential to establish pathways for credit rating, formal lending for micro enterprises, contributing to inclusive and sustainable economic development. But nevertheless, alongside these opportunities, we must also acknowledge that we are going to face many challenges and risks with all stakeholders, clients, service providers, and policymakers. Through today's session, we are going to explore selected case studies, cases from humanitarian organizations, from banks, offering valuable insights into the potential of scaling technical solutions for the valuable lessons from private sectors. I encourage all of you, dear participants, to actively participate, share your expertise, and engage in constructive dialogue. During the webinar, we are eager to see your questions in the chat box. And now, let's go forward. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Vina, who serves as the Cash-Based Interventions Officer in the Regional Bureau of Southern Africa of UNHCR, where she plays a big role in supporting various operations within the region to utilize cash as modality of assistance, with a special emphasis on digital and inclusive finance whenever is possible. Vina's journey in the world of financial inclusion is not very short. Prior for joining UNHCR, she served as a digital financial service consultant, living a remarkable experience across Africa and Asia. In her role, she supported mobile network operators, banks, non-banking financial institutions to develop and extend access to financial services for unbanked people and low-income households. Today, we are glad to have Vina share her profound insights with us. Vina, I hand over the virtual stage to you.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Good morning, everyone, and it's such a pleasure to be here to talk about UNHCR and the use of cash for financial inclusion, especially digital financial inclusion. Allow me a second to share my screen, and apologies. Of course, it has to go wrong. And I hope you can see my screen now. Rafi?
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
Please.
Let's start off with a quick question. And there's 1 minute for you to respond to this. What do you think are the financial products that forcibly displaced persons require? And here, forcibly displaced population is a term that UNHCR uses to address people who have been, who are refugees, asylum seekers, stateless population, who have had to flee their country or displaced within their country. So the question is, what are the financial products that the FDPs require? Is it receipt of aid? Is it a range of financial services from savings to insurance? Is it access to credit? Is it remittances? I'll pause here for the poll.
Well, we already have 18 responded, 20. We will wait a bit and share the results.
Let me know when to start. Go to the next slide.
Yes.
Thanks, Rafi.
Yes. Well, most of the answers goes for option 2, still going. I would like to ask the participants to submit the answers through the poll window and click on submit button, because your answers, the written ones in the chat box, will not be considered in the rating. If it is possible, you can use the poll question window. I think we can stop the poll now and let me share the final results. Okay, we have 39 responses and the majority chose the range of financial services for savings, the second one. And after that, we have equally the first and the last one. I think the poll is still open, but we can, I think, close it. And so far we have 58% of the answers for option 2. So, Vina, please, you can take these answers and continue your presentation.
Thank you. Absolutely. And all of you are right in saying that it is the range of financial services that the population, the forcibly displaced population need. And this is why financial inclusion is so critical when we are looking at assistance and sustainable solutions for the FDPs. The life cycle needs for everyone is the same. It doesn't matter who you are, whether what your status is. We all need the same things for our family. We need savings, insurance, access to business loans, whether it's micro loans, so on and so forth. And when we are looking at it from a UNHCR point of view, digital financial services, especially financial inclusion, is extremely critical because this allows us to promote transparency and traceability of funds, which is critical for our accountability to all the stakeholders, including donors. It contributes to the government's national social safety net and national plan. And it also aligns with the government's vision of inclusive finance in most countries for the most vulnerable. Let's look at one of the practical examples. We have colleagues who will talk about Jordan, so let me talk about Zambia. So what was the problem statement? When we first started working, one of the things that we were looking at is trying to identify what is the issue that we are facing. From UNHCR, it was a challenge to make sure that the cash distribution is efficient and transparent and reliable. For the forcibly displaced population, it was how do I improve the life of my family? And for the financial service providers that we were talking to, why should we serve this segment of population? You know, what is a business case for me here? So UNHCR uses a client-centric approach, and based on that, what we did was do a requirements mapping. We tried to identify the barriers for each of the stakeholders. We looked at whether the documents that the population that we are trying to serve, do they have valid KYC documents? We work with the population to understand what their needs are, and then talk to the service providers to understand what would make it attractive for for the financial service providers to serve this population. And then we piloted a digital payment for cash assistance, and based on that, then we were able to roll it out. And we also looked at discussing the various tools that could be used for financial inclusion that could make it more viable for everyone. So with the forcibly displaced population, this is typically how we do focus group discussions. We try and understand. So for the population, what they said is that there's an opportunity cost to go and collect cash. So they wanted to make sure that the way they received assistance, or the way that they received remittances, or even person to business transfers that they were doing, is there a way to efficiently do this? There were also concerns in terms of the transaction points, again, linking to the distances that they have to travel. This is a settlement in Zambia called Meheba. It's 950 square kilometers. So imagine if you had to walk, because there are access to transportation is limited. How do we make sure that people are able to go to different locations to be able to do their transactions? They wanted to make sure that the accounts that were being provided, whatever the shape or form of it, it grows. People were, what does that mean? That they are not losing money. And an example that I can give you is one of the women were putting aside 15, 20 kwacha from the cash assistance that they were giving. It's like less than $1. They were putting it in a plastic cover and then digging a hole near their hut and then keeping the money. It sounds like something that happened 30 years back. It's not. It's something that I had seen like 4 years back. And the problem was that the plastic had holes, and the money actually, got spoiled, and she was not able to use it. The other challenge that she wanted was, or the woman they were talking about, was access to credit, because they all wanted to grow businesses, be it second-hand clothes, be it agribusiness, anything that they were, startup capital was always a challenge, or working capital was a challenge. They were also worried about health, education, being able to construct a better house for their family to stay in. So I'm putting insurance and mortgages and all together in other products. So this is, again, part of the village, and the person is standing on an anthill to get network to be able to, talk to whoever he was talking to. So for a financial service provider, we needed to look at a business case. So cash transactions happen on a regular basis throughout the year. Mostly it's once a month when I was working on this. So there is a regular business, because there's a transfer fee and a withdrawal fee that would come in. We could look at liquidity management support for additional incentive, because the closest town for rebalancing is about 60 kilometers from the settlement. There's also a captive customer base, because these are customers that we would link directly to the financial service provider, which otherwise the service providers would not be able to access, thus being able to increase average revenue per user. And there's also potential for new product development to be able to, provide different financial products to suit the new need of these population. So with that, as I said, we did the pilot. The pilot was successful. Then we did the rollout in 3 of the settlements in Zambia, as well as in the city. And then as the next steps, what we did was tie up with microcredit institutions to be able to provide credit. And now the financial service provider is also doing, providing access to credit for this population. We also tied up with another agency in a company, actually, a private limited company that provides solar lamps and clean stove projects. And they were also accessing, they were providing these products on pay-as-you-go option for the refugee population. We are in discussions with the service provider to be able to develop a goal-linked savings product, which would allow people to save money, and then for obviously for the financial service provider, it's an income. Discussions are ongoing on agri-value chain financing project, and then we are also working with the government of Zambia to do a tie-up for medical insurance, health insurance for the refugee population. So what were the challenges and lessons that we learned through this journey? Mobility restrictions, it sounds strange. For me, it was very strange because this was my first interaction with the refugee population. Refugees, forcibly displaced populations sometimes have restrictions in terms of being able to leave the camps and settlements. There's limitations in infrastructure, access to roads, access to water, so on and so forth. And there is need to think about solutions that take into consideration these challenges that are there. There's need for advocacy for lenient registration process for refugees or FTPs to be agents. And I'm sure Catherine will talk more about this. There's absolutely limitations in terms of access to capital for agents because they don't have credit scores, they don't have transaction history, all transactions have been through cash. So can we look at a master agent or a teller agent model for digital financial services? There's a lack of trust because this is not a population that you are used to, and there's the fact is that forcibly displaced population will move back to either their country of origin or the places that they came from, and there's worry that will the money go. There's a huge rebalancing cost, again, because of the distances that is there. So there is typically the service provider is hesitant, and we need to kind of advocate either in terms of the commissions that are put out or look at other solutions that could allow to take care of the rebalancing cost. And most importantly, there's a change in mindset. And the change in mindset has to happen all throughout. It has to happen within UNHCR, the service provider, as well as with the population that we work with. We go to the next poll. So from the challenges and lessons that we mentioned, who do you think is responsible for solving these challenges? Is it UNHCR's responsibility? Is it the responsibility of the financial service provider to resolve? Or is it something that UNHCR and the service provider and other stakeholders need to work together to find a solution? I'll pause here. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Lina. Similar to the first poll, we will give some time to the participants. So far, the majority of the participants selected the third one, the last option. Some of them the second, but none of them the first one. Imagine that they decide that it is only UNHCR responsibility. So yeah, it's I think it is a consolidated effort. I think the poll is over. Let me check if it is still ongoing or not. Okay, let's give a couple of seconds. So here we have 38 responses. 3 of them, they selected the second one, and 35 of them selected the last one. So the poll is closed. This is the final results. 92% of the participants decided to take the third one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rafi. And yes, it is something that we have to work together to resolve, because um, it is a stakeholder approach, right? There's a need for UNHCR to recognize that we work with commercial entities. We need to look at the commercial viewpoint, and for the service provider to understand that there are challenges that are, or there are circumstances that are very particular for the FTPs, and there's need to look at solutions that that work for this segment of population. And there's also need for joint advocacy. So let's look at the collaboration opportunities. Some of this I had mentioned in my Zambia case study. It definitely is a new market and a customer segment that is opening up for the financial service providers. There's need for advocacy for KYC documents. So again, using Zambia example, it was the service provider, UNHCR, as well as the government that advocated with ZICTA, which is the telecom regulator, as well as Bank of Zambia, which is a central bank, to basically allow us to use the refugee asylum seeker ID documents as valid KYC documents. We were also in the process of advocating for use of these documents for agent registration, so that we can have refugees and forcibly displaced population that could open transaction channels within the settlement. There's need to look at how we can adapt existing financial products that suit the requirements of this population. We need to look at expanding branchless banking to meet the camp and settlement, and also the requirements during emergencies. And emergencies could be civil emergencies. It could be due to climate change, as we see in this region a lot. And there is a need to look at developing a credit scoring mechanism that can look at the transactions that are being carried out by the refugees or FTP population. Some examples of collaboration: we have the Trust Mercantile Bank. Trust Mercantile Bank that is providing cash in hard-to-reach areas in Goma, in Eastern Goma, DRC. We have Standard Bank that just completed distributing cash in Malawi during the Cyclone Freddy. We have geomapping of agents that are done in Jordan, and dissemination of this information to the forcibly displaced population in in areas that have very low penetration. And we were also able to work using that information. We were also able to work on liquidity management so that the agents were able to have sufficient cash to meet the requirements, and access to microcredit in Zambia in the settlements. With that, I pause and look for questions. And I see that, sorry, there was one question that was asked.
Yes, one question I have.
If I can stop sharing my screen.
Yes, I will read loudly. So are the details of the Zambia case study available online? One of the participants were asking.
Yes, I will share with Rafi. It's on the UNHCR website, and our partners in this journey were UNCDF, Mobile Money for the Poor program, as well as MicroSave Consulting. So it's available in all three websites, but I will definitely share the links with Rafi. So there are interesting case studies as well as customer journeys that we can share with you.
Yeah, thank you, Vina. It is really important to highlight those aspects, and you mentioned very important phrase, lack of trust. I think in the journey of the financial inclusion, there is a lack of trust from the both sides, from the supply side towards the target group, because they are really risky. They are considered as a risky group, and vice versa. The target group, they have mistrust to the financial services, the financial products. I think what UNHCR and the other organizations are doing, it's really important. It's valuable. And we hope with all consolidated efforts, we are going to have financial inclusion with increased index, not crossing with access, with better access, better quality, and usage of the financial products. And through the polls, it was possible, visible for all of us that definitely we need consolidated efforts. We cannot rely on one partner or one organization. It's all of us. We have to work together in order to achieve better financial inclusion, especially for the migrants and the refugees. Thank you very much, Vina, for your insights. And now let me
thank you.
Introduce, thank you, Vina. And after the insightful presentation by Vina, I'm honored to welcome our next special speaker, Ms. Chloe. Ms. Chloe brings with her an impressive background and 11 years of experience in the digital and financial sectors. In her current role, Chloe supports WFP's cash-based transfers teams at global, regional, and country levels. Her work has made a significant impact in leveraging the power of digital money to aid people during crisis time. Prior to joining WFP, Chloe was working as individual consultant for various institutions like CGAP or CGAP, IFC, Arab Women's Enterprise Fund, and other organizations. And today, during the session, Chloe, she is going to provide us insights regarding the work of the humanitarian organizations like WFP and the governments in harnessing the power of the digital money to support the people. She will enlighten us on WFP's empower of 10 million women through their own financial accounts and explore the private sector's role in catalyzing real challenges for crisis-affected people and populations. Chloe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rafi. I hope you can see my slides.
Yes, it is.
Good. Thank you for this introduction. And actually, it's a perfect transition with the work that UNHCR does, because we work a lot together across different countries and included in Jordan. So hi, everyone. My name is Chloe. I'm very happy to join this discussion today. I might disappoint some of you, but today I'm not going to talk about finance or technology, but actually I would like to talk about people, about all these people that WFP and other humanitarian organizations assist as part of our cash transfer operation. These are actually a lot of people. Just to give you a few figures, last year in 2022, WFP sent over 3.3 billion US dollars to 56 million people across 72 countries. So this really makes the World Food Programme as the largest provider of humanitarian cash assistance globally. But let's refocus now on the people that we actually assist. So take Halima, for instance. You can see Halima here in the picture. So Halima comes from Somalia. Because of extreme droughts and dry weather in Somalia, Halima had to leave her home with her 5 children and travel to a camp of displaced population. There she registered to receive WFP assistance, and she now receives regular cash transfers via her mobile money account. So receiving her transfer via mobile money account changed a lot for her. It's meant that she can now decide how to spend this money. She can use it for food, but not only, she can also use it for medication, for instance, for her kids or other essential needs. She can also save, and just a really nice story, after saving every month 5 USD, 10 USD, so small amounts through her from the cash transfer she was receiving, and also applying for a small credit, Halima was able to open a small store and through which she can now receive and generate some income. So Halima's story is echoed by many other women across the globe who, despite overwhelming hardship, are able to build a future, not only for themselves, but also for their family when they receive money in their accounts. That is why WFP, the World Programme New Cash Policy, is really heavily focused on financial inclusion and prioritizing women. So in this slide, you can see the 5 outcomes that we will try to achieve through our new cash policy that was just recently approved by the board in last month, actually. And you can see, yes, that WFP is heavily focusing on digital financial inclusion. So why, some of you might say, why digital financial inclusion? So we believe that both humanitarian cash transfers provided by WFP or the organization, but also by governments as part of their social protection programs, can really provide this very first time access to a bank or a mobile money account and other financial services. So that's why our vision for this policy will be to support 10 million women through their own financial accounts. How we do this in practice? So really this new policy is, our guiding principle is really to put the people we assist at the center of everything we do. We've adopted a holistic approach so that we first try to understand what are the problems, what are the barriers that these people face, like Halima. And we categorize these into 3 barriers, from the demand side, supply side, and regulatory side barrier. And I will give you a few examples in the next few slides. But before that, I think we have a poll.
Yes,
so I will pause here, Rafi. So
yeah,
question to the audience.
I think our IT team will release the poll. Yes, it's on.
Great. And the question is, what is, in your view, the most efficient and effective way to support vulnerable people's food, nutrition, and other essential needs, while at the same time helping them to break the cycle of poverty? Is it to give them food directly? Is it to give them cash in hand, like physical cash? Is it to give them cash vouchers that they can redeem at local stores? Or is it better to send them cash transfers via bank or mobile money accounts?
Yeah, thank you, Chloe. We have active participation in the poll. And so far, the majority selected the last one, but still we have also 4 other options. It's really crucial because in many countries, wherever we had crisis, the humanitarian aids were provided to the people through different tools and channels. Similar, you mentioned food directly providing some aids and usable materials or cash or transfers. And in the era of digital financial inclusion, it's really important to understand what is more visible and what is more sustainable. I'm eager to see the final results of the participants. The poll is still live. Now it is closed. So we have 41 responses, 4% saying giving them food, 2% giving them cash in hand, 14% giving them cash vouchers, and 78% sending them cash transfers via bank or mobile money.
Good. Okay.
So and those are the results.
Thanks. And the right answer was the last one. Really, like the focus, the tricky bit here is not only to meet people's food needs, but also other essential needs. So by giving them cash, but also cash through financial accounts, you allow them to use their money for other essential needs, but also long after the program ends, let's say the WFP program ends, they can use their accounts and access other financial services for other purposes that could help them break the cycle of poverty. So that's really what this policy will aim to achieve. I'm moving to the next slide. So how do we talk about digital financial inclusion, how do we accelerate digital financial inclusion in practice at WFP? So as I mentioned, we take an holistic approach and we look at 3 types of barriers that people face: from the demand side, the supply side, and the regulatory side. So let me give you a few concrete examples. First, on the demand side. So what we often observe globally across different countries is that the people we assist, men and women, often have limited understanding and trust of mobile money or banking services. Also, women often face restrictive gender social norms that prevent them from actually using and accessing these services. So what we do is really, we try to facilitate people's access to digital financial products that meet their needs, and also to build people's financial and digital capabilities so that they can then make informed financial decisions. I give you a few examples. For instance, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, at the bottom here, WFP there support 4,000 households as part of the National Safety Net program that is run by the government. And there we tested 3 approaches to build people's skills and understanding of mobile money. First, we trained about 120 community champions who can then train other members in the community on how to use mobile money, how to safely use it, how to not share your PIN, etc. We also train village saving and loan association. And also sorry, if I can ask people to be on mute, thank you. We also plan to launch a mass sensitization campaign through local radio and comic books. In Somalia now, we've partnered with the GSMA, which is the Global Telecom Association, to train people using the mobile internet skill training toolkit. So here again, the importance of partnership, because the GSMA represents the interest of the private sector there. So really working together hand in hand with the private sector to increase people's skills and knowledge. And last example is from Ghana and Uganda. There we partner with CIA and launch the Hey Sister, Show Me the Mobile Money financial literacy campaign. This is a very innovative way of training people and increasing their skills. It provides free modules available in local languages, and people can access these either via group settings, face-to-face, or via IVR technology. Now, on the
participants to unmute. Thank you. Sorry, Chloe, please continue.
People were eager to speak. So these were for the demand side. Now, for the supply side, what we often observed, and Vina, you spoke about that earlier in your presentation, is that the private sector doesn't always see our vulnerable target segment as a commercially viable segment. Often the issue also is that WFP, we often only contract one financial service provider or 2 in the country. And this means that the people we assist actually cannot choose. They don't have the choice to say, I want to have this mobile money provider, Zain or U-Wallet in Jordan. No, it's in most of the country, except Jordan actually, in most of the country, people cannot choose. So what we're trying to do is really to build the business case with the financial service providers, and also to encourage greater usage and choice. To give you 2 examples here, in Haiti, we've worked closely with Digicel, Moncash, to expand agent networks in rural areas. We also worked to train some merchants who are in markets, mainly women actually, so that they can accept payments directly from the people who receive cash assistance. Why do we do that? Is really to encourage people not only to cash out, but also to use their e-wallet for other use cases. We don't want the people we assist to directly cash out and then and not use their account anymore. Then otherwise it's not real financial inclusion. We really want to encourage them to use other use cases. We're also testing in Haiti the introduction of climate risk insurance so that people can receive payments and receive some insurance claim via their e-wallet in the case of climate hazard. In Jordan, that will interest most of the audience here, the team has been working really well with different financial service provider to really encourage choice so that people can really choose which wallet they want to open to receive their humanitarian assistance. And last but not least, from the regulatory side, we often found that the people we assist, some of them might not have a valid ID, national ID, to open an account. Or sometimes the regulatory know your customer requirements are too strict, so that and the people cannot open or use their accounts. So there we work closely with central banks and telecom regulators, depending on the country regulation, so that we can advocate for access to ID. For instance, in Haiti, the WFP worked with the National Office of Identification to provide access to 10,000 people, to provide access to ID to 10,000 people, and also advocate for lighter KYC. In Uganda, we advocated with the central bank also to reduce KYC requirements, so actually KYA, know your agent requirements, for women, so that they can become agents themselves. So a lot of work, again, in partnership, not only with the private sector, but really also with regulators and policymakers. So that's it from my end. Of course, I will take any questions that you might have in the second part of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe. I think we have another poll. We will ask our IT support to release it. We can also reflect to that question. And I think there is a question also in the chat box. We'll refer to it after the poll. So the question, the second poll, on the supply side, why does WFP collaborate with financial service providers? We have 4 options. First one, to encourage greater usage of digital financial products and not only cash outs. Second one, to encourage development of responsible financial products that meet vulnerable people's needs, and to help financial service providers see the business case to invest in women as viable segments. Feel free to answer. And the last one is all above. We already have submitted answers. It's sometimes challenging to track the chat box. So we have so far 30 responses. Most of them, they answered all above, but some of the participants also chose respectively the other options. I think you already mentioned in your previous slide that all those offers with and the cooperation with the supply side, it's aiming is not only to give the money or transfer the money for cashing out, but also to officially and formally include them in the formal financial sector through digital channels. The final, okay, it is close. So for you, 43 options we have answers, and the majority took the above all answers. Yeah,
that's the correct answer. No, that's the correct answer. We really try to work more and more with the private sector in partnership, and all these above topics and more actually. So that's also why I'm very happy to see that in this room there are a lot of financial service providers. Over to you, Rafi.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. I'm going to also mirror a couple of questions that we have received from the chat box before going to the next speaker. So we have a question: do vulnerable people have a smartphone to be able to use digital financial services? This is the first question. Maybe brief insight, and then I will continue with the next one. What do you think? So some of the, yes,
that's an excellent question. So actually, access to phone is one of the key barriers preventing people to access mobile money services specifically. Here, we're not only looking at smartphones. So often in across Africa, people will have access to what we call a basic phone. So it's not necessarily a smartphone like the iPhone one, but definitely access to mobile phone is an issue, particularly for women. We know that women are less likely than men to have access to a phone. So within WFP, we're also trying to think how can we facilitate access to mobile phone working hand in hand with the private sector. In some cases, we subsidized a bit the cost of the phone as well. But often what we see that in the household, there will be one person having a phone. But you're right, it's definitely very rare.
Okay, so it is existing challenge for the digital financial inclusion. Maybe another question also from the chat box. Our biggest challenges in Malawi is illiteracy. They are not able to use smartphones, making it slightly difficult for them to get involved in digital financing. How do we solve this?
Great point again from Mayamiko, I think. So actually, you raised the point of illiteracy. Here, I would like to distinguish two things. There is basic illiteracy. So let's say basic literacy, being able to count and to read and write. And then another layer is financial and digital literacy. So WFP can act on two fronts. Like for instance, in Cameroon, we have a program that help women, particularly that teach women how to read and write and count. So this is more from basic literacy. And then across, whenever we work on financial inclusion, digital financial inclusion, we always try to embed some sort of digital financial capability building. So really trying to build the skills of the people so that they can use mobile money or bank account, depending on the context, and they also trust these services. This is very important because if you only connect people to financial services and you only open an account for them, we can't assume that they will know from day one to day two how to use this account. It's very important to accompany them through different means. So we, as I mentioned in the demand side slide, we're testing different approach, and very important to understand the local context as well, the local languages, what are the means that people prefer to get access to training here. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, Chloe. I think we can continue now. And in the end of the reports, after the presentations, we are going to have a moderated discussion session. During that session, we are going to also give the floor to the speakers and the participants to raise their questions. Now, let me introduce our third speaker for today. Thank you, Chloe. Ms. Catherine Damian, a accomplished professional with a remarkable of 20 years career in the private sector. Throughout her journey, she has contributed her expertise in innovation, mobile technology, and media to several companies like Serviceplan, Deutsche Telekom, Vodafone, and others across Europe and the Middle East and Asia. Catherine's extensive knowledge covers various sectors, making her a subject matter expert in identity data, GDPR, media, user experience, mobile payment, and services. In 2019, Catherine joined GIZ African Union office in Addis Ababa, and since August 2020, she has been the team lead of DGNS's project in Jordan. We are honored to have Catherine with us. Without further delays, the virtual stage is yours, Catherine. Please.
Oh, I did it wrong. Wait. No, I didn't share the right one. 1 second.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know why it's not working. Wait. Is it?
It is working now.
Ah, okay. Then perfect. Sorry. Like now you praised my digital background, and I didn't manage to show my presentation. It looks. I got an update from Microsoft, and since then a few things changed, and I have to get used to it. And
yes, yeah. We have many.
So yeah, I'm super happy to see so many also new names and also from everywhere. So like I think it's really nice to see that we get so many interest for this webinar, which is of course close to our heart. So like I think most of like some well, I think in this round, not everyone knows about Digitensis. So we are a project with the target of improving access to remittance and other financial services. And we are commissioned by the German Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development. And our partner is the Central Bank of Jordan. And we're ending in October. So this is like kind of the strike. We want to spread the word. And yeah, and today it's really nice because I mean, we're working so close with World Food Programme and UNHCR, and that's why it's so nice to have, I mean, with Vina, like she was here in the beginning, and it's and so we worked very close together, and also with Chloe now here in Jordan. So what I wanted to highlight is that because of course we have to reach out to every refugee and to every low-income Jordanians, but we also wanted to make sure that we reach out to the vulnerable population, because when it comes to refugees here in Jordan, then 20% of the head of households, it's a UN study, have a disability, and in general 10% of Jordanians have a kind of disability. And yeah, and also when our program started, the financial inclusion of women was really low. So what we did is we trained, we had our focus on training of women, so 67%. And also, like the result is now that from the mobile wallets, now around 45% of the users are women. So I think that's really good. And then we, of course, we worked with different NGOs. They worked with CBOs. So with John River Foundation, we wanted to do trainings in different cities. And there we also found out that in some areas, of course, you have a lot of people with disability. So what we made, that's why we made sure that we also had translators in sign languages. And that's why we could train 166 people, which is not a lot, but it's a start. And then we thought, we really have to understand better how we should do the trainings, because we also had to find out not everyone can speak sign languages when they can't, when they are deaf. So that's why we did some focus group together with UNHCR, with elderly people and people with disability, to adapt the training and materials to their needs. And yeah, so we also would like to dig more deep in that, because I think it's really necessary to always adapt it. And what we also did, so I think that's also why it's so nice to see that the colleagues are there, so Jennifer, and so we adapted our training materials, focusing on different vulnerable people. So special training for women, special trainings for the refugees, special training for illiterate people, and so to make sure that this is really, I will talk to you, Mariko, afterwards. So and we are also happy to share our training materials. So because they are basic trainings regarding financial literacy, and then there's only a part related to Jordan. So that's why we are also happy to share it in other countries. And then also to make sure that especially women are encouraged, because we did a user experience research where we also work close with UNHCR, and there we found out that women wanted to have women as contact person to learn more, and that's also what we did. And so to make sure, I had duplication there, to make sure that we have really the targeting and the coverage. We did things like user experience research to understand the needs of the target group, especially women and refugees, because we can have a lot of ideas what people want, but when you don't talk with them and ask them, you don't know anything. And that's why we did user experience research to really understand the needs. And we also did an analysis of the infrastructure together with UNHCR, and to see where are the infrastructures, the where are the agents, where are the ATMs, where you can use the mobile money here in Jordan, and where are the refugees, and where's the gap. And this also led to that the payment service providers, we presented it to them, that they also went in areas where they weren't present before. And yeah, and of course we want that people have fun learning, otherwise like nobody wants to learn when it's not fun. And so we created board games, and so that people can also have a more interactive way of learning. And we will also build them now in a bigger version, so that people also can play it outside, so to have the community feeling. And then we also are working on an e-learning tool, which will be published in September. So also when digital chances will close, but still the CBJ will have the e-learning on their website. And so here's a success story. It's Hannah, and Hannah's really impressive, I would say. I mean, she lives outside of a refugee camp with her husband and 4 kids, and she found out about the mobile wallet, and before she really hated it to go to this money exchange houses, because then the men say, oh, well, how do you earn money, and so on. So she felt really uncomfortable. But since she using the mobile wallet, she can do all her businesses, all the transfers from the customers to her wallet, and also the paying the products or paying the social media ads. She can do everything with wallet, and it's really impressive how she built up her own business from her home. And also to see like what kind of freedom it gives to women. And yeah, and what we, I mean, together with World Food Programme and UNHCR, we did a research, we published this in November, where we really thought like, what else need to be done, and I mean, a lot has achieved here in Jordan. And so like we still believe that that you need to listen more to the voices of the refugees, of the women, of the elderly and the disabled and the illiterate, to make sure that user design has to be adapted if necessary. And the reduction of the regulatory barriers, because in the camps it's very difficult to be an agent, or to be official merchant, and so and also of course the fees are more difficult for them to be paid. So I think this is still an area of concern, and we also highlighted already to the central bank in the study that we also believe that non-Syrian refugees should also have the possibility to get the mobile wallet, and yeah, and also to like involve the youth earlier. So like a youth e-wallet would be kind of nice, and the microcredits, which are already like you can do a nice credit scoring with the usage of the mobile wallet, and then when and with that, microcredits would be possible, so that they can open their own business. So these are some ideas which still can be done. And yeah, so but this will happen after digitensis, but I'm looking forward to see how it will more develop.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now I
I think we have 2 questions in the chat. So the first one, Catherine, please share more details on geomapping, and if there is a link on how this was done. One of the participants was asking.
So the geomapping, it was like this. So we, because we're working with the Central Bank of Jordan, they have the information from the payment service providers where the ATMs and the agents are. So like they know, like the infrastructure is there, but when we use the data, we also made it anonymous, so you couldn't see which payments service providers who aware, because we also don't want to interfere in the competition. And then we received from UNHCR the data where the refugees with the mobile wallet are located. And there we saw where the gap were. And this is, yeah. And then we also feed it in after a few months more data of UNHCR because it was increasing. And to be honest, sometimes I think now it would be amazing to do it again because it would look totally different. But it really helped a lot, and you can see now that yeah, so that some of the PSPs are really focusing now more on refugees.
Yeah. Thank you, Catherine. And the next question, honestly, I wanted also to ask you, so who will continue your work supporting digital financial services after these chances will have ended?
Yeah, I mean, like we also have one sister project which is especially focused on like small business, small to medium business. So like there will do some work. And regarding the like work, especially targeting refugees, I think there, of course, the World Food Programme is there, UNHCR, UNICEF. I mean, we have like a monthly meeting group with everyone. I mean, Phil is there from CARE, so so where we meet anyway, and I think they will continue meeting and to avoid duplication. So I think it will continue. And the central bank, of course, is also doing a lot. They're really very proactive. And so I think, to be honest, we kicked it off, but like Jordan is like it's a good place. And
okay, very good. Thank you, Catherine.
Cell phones will be sold right after they're given them. Yeah, we don't give phones. Yeah, so we don't give phones because yeah. So we're doing only financial literacy training.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, for your valuable input and shared experience from the Chances project in Jordan. And now I would like to introduce our last speaker for today, Mr. Muhammad Alai from Amal Bank in Yemen. He is the CEO of Amal Bank, and with his leadership and expertise, he has been at the front of driving positive change in the financial sector, particularly in Yemen, but also in the MENA region. As a CEO of the Amal Bank, Muhammad has been instrumental in empowering vulnerable communities through innovative financial solutions for unbanked people. His dedication to fostering financial inclusion and independence for all has been evident in the bank's impactful initiatives. Under his guidance, Amal Bank has made significant strides in providing opportunities for financial growth and stability, positively impacting the lives of many. We eagerly wait for enlightening presentation. Please, Mohammed, now the stage is yours.
Well, thank you, Raf. Thank you, everybody. Happy to be with you today, just to show the experience of Amal Microfinance Bank as the first microfinance bank in the whole MENA. We have heard, from our colleagues during the presentation, the experience from the donor side. I'm here representing the practitioners, the one who is delivering money, delivering, aids to the beneficiaries. So from that perspective, we came, with the experience from the ground, from a situation which considered to be very difficult situation. It is a crisis, full of a crisis, either financially or politically. It goes up to the Arab clash. So I will ask my colleagues to go for the next slide. Next. Hello.
Yeah, I hear you, Mohammed. It's the third slide now already. Is that correct?
No, but still, I'm still in the first slide. Actually, I don't know about the audience.
So second slide now. About Amal Finance Bank, Microfinance Bank.
Good. Good. Amal Microfinance Bank, as I mentioned earlier, it's the first microfinance in the whole MENA region, providing full package of financial and non-financial services. So by that, we are providing the empowerment, the economic empowerment model in the MENA, providing the two wings of helps, for the poor people. The financial one by providing different type of financial services, and the non-financial services through a subsidiary of Al Amal Microfinance Bank, providing the know-how, awarenesses, exposure visits, whatever, needed to support, our clients and micro entrepreneurs to grow. That's our next. From that side, we Al Amal Bank believe in all our goals and strategies, even the mandate of the shareholders, that we should be close to our segment, to the market segments. Who are they? Those are the youth, mainly youth people, either in rural areas or in urban areas, taking considerations to the woman. If you just look at this segment of the market, you will see that it is very excluded. It is all excluded from the financial sector in Yemen. In Yemen, there are more than 17 banks actually helping, rich people, and just only Al Amal Microfinance Bank helping poor people in a very scattered area where more than 70% of our population allocated themselves in a rural area. Next. Those are the type of the first wing, which is the financial services. We do provide, those people who cannot go to the regular banking sector. We do provide them SME loans, agricultural loans, small farmers, mainly in rural areas. We are focusing also more on women, green energy, loans, electronic loans, actually to pay their needs using the mobile money, housing as well to restore their businesses, especially during the crisis and in the area of clash, actually in the southern part of Yemen. Also, we provide a personal loans. Just if you look at the numbers have been achieved right up until now, you will see that more than 113 million US dollar were disbursed in small loans, with average size 400 US dollar during the whole life of Al Amal Microfinance Bank. In addition to that, for those people who cannot go to the banking sector, either they are getting daily wages with a few amount of money, and that money cannot be accepted by the bank. We open a banking account for them. We open also electronic accounts, and also during the liquidity crisis, which recently Yemen is suffering from, we introduced the electronic letter of guarantee, which you can just give a guarantee, a piece of paper, give a piece of paper to the merchant or the wholesaler who can provide them with their needs. If you just look at the statistic, actually, you will see that more than 180,000, banking accounts with Al Amal Bank. Those are active accounts, and more than 120,000 electronic accounts. Those people have their mobile money, have their mobile number as a banking account. There is no need for them to come to the bank and open a current account. You can see that the turnover in those accounts exceeded 800 million US dollar. Recently, with the crisis and when the international players moved their agenda or changed their agenda by moving from development into humanitarian, especially during the past 8 years of the war, Al Amal Bank introduced the cash transfer product to distribute either conditional and non-conditional cash for our beneficiary, mainly in remote area. Also, it became very difficult for people, especially IDPs, those people who immigrated from the rural areas to the main cities looking for jobs to go back to their families. So instead of that, they are sending their money using internal remittances. If you just look at this statistic, you will see more than 80 million social cash transfer have been channeled through that product, and the value exceeded 2.6 billion US dollar during the past 8 years. And now we are working with more than 30 national and international organizations working in a humanitarian side in Yemen. Next. When we look to the map of Yemen, we will see that more than 120,000 small communities distributed here and there. If you want to help them, if you want to outreach and to reach all these people, that's mean you need more than 100,000 branches actually to go to those places. So instead of that, we find that digital finance is the solution, especially during the crisis. When people moved, their work from rural areas into the urban areas. So we, with the support of some international, mainly UNCHR and WFP and UNICEF, actually we introduced financial products for the refugees to expand our client and to send the money safely to their communities and to avoid the risk of channeling sending money from the urban cities into the rural cities. So we provide those IDPs and refugees financial products. So also we know exactly, because we are the bank of the poor, we know exactly how to protect our clients, and in addition to that, we provide them a financial education using our subsidiary RIADA. Next. Those are the numbers. Just give you numbers of financial services to refugees and IDPs. You will see we had mentioned, the social cash transfers for refugees and asylum seeker, more than 101,000 social cash transfer, almost 29 million US dollar as a turnover for that product with this segment of the market. When it comes to the IDPs, those people who are internally displaced, we are talking about 800,000, cash social cash transfers, and amount exceeded 375 million US dollar. Next. The main obstacles will come later on is to reach this people is education. Those people who are illiterate, who cannot use smartphone or mobile phone actually to handle or to utilize their needs, actually is mainly the financial things. So heavily RIADA is involving in that side by providing courses, either online courses or using the social media for scaling developments and business entrepreneurship. And later on, we started to target those people who just graduate from vocational training and people who just graduated from university. And we established the first incubator actually in Yemen. We give them premises and we give them support, either financially or non-financially, to start their business. Next. Those are the outputs. Those are the outputs of the non-financial services that you actually we will see that we are still struggling in that area. We are not actually going in parallel with the financial services, but those that slides can show that the people rely on themselves heavily actually to learn technology, and they don't really rely on institution or something like this. But still, there is a segment unmet. The segment we can reach them, by social media and whatever actually we reach. So those are the number that we actually graduated from Riyadh institutions. Next. The main question will come here is how to reach these people. How to reach these people mainly in rural areas. How to send financial services to the poor people. This is the $1 million question. How to send this. If you open a branches, that's mean you need more than 120,000 branch. If you use a mobile team, that's mean you need a huge number of mobile teams actually going from one side to the other side and handling cash. It is good to see that some international trademark are there in a very remote area. Toyota is in every village actually in Yemen, but financial services is not there. So from that perspective, from that side, we come up with the ideas of contracting others and sharing the profit with other player in small communities. From that, we succeeded to contract more than 5,000 financial agents working under the supervision of the central bank with a contract with the Amal Bank to utilize all our financial services to the poor people. And also, we in some community there is even no money exchanger or financial institution working there. And to solve that issue, we succeeded to contract more than 7,000 point of sales. Those merchant, small merchant, grocery store, bakery, laundry, whatever is in a local society. We contracted them actually to deliver our financial services through them. Later on, actually, we realized that the number who are having banking account in Yemen with all seven, all more with all the 17 banks is just only 1.4 million. Where the average number of every telecommunication operator in Yemen, has exceeded 8 million beneficiary. From that we come to introduce the mobile money as a solution for reaching rural areas. Next. How we channel all our services, the financial services and the non-financial services through our vehicles, through our technology. Through our technology, when it comes to finance, we are using the all part of our products actually using the electronic finance. Using the applications, and using savings. With the kind of cooperation with the central bank and support from the central bank, we succeeded actually to open the electronic banking account, which is a account instead of a current account. So with the minimum, QIC requirements and minimum, legal requirements needed actually to open a current account with the bank. Also, we are using, technology and money transfer to transfer more than 200,000, transfer per day to a very remote area using our huge network spread actually over the nations. Also, we are using technology in our social cash transfer. The difference between the money transfers and the social cash transfer is that the money transfer is individual transfer, person to person, where the social cash transfers is a group transfer, mainly, donors to beneficiaries. E-money also, we introduced the e-money we created our applications, in-house application called VS. That application actually we are using it. You can download it easily from the from the Apple Store and start to use it as a tool actually to channel your money and to get benefits or of all our financial services provided by Al Amal Bank. Next. Those are our systems, digital system and application platform that we are using. All system inside the Amal Bank, the banking system are, integrated with each other. So the loan is integrated with the savings to avoid overlaps and sometimes to channel them the installment to the savings account, to the current account, and then we can, pay back the loan. All systems are integrated. In terms of, there is another system in addition to the banking system, which is the transferring system. The transferring system actually linked mainly with our agents, either the financial agent and non-financial agents. So there are two systems actually used in Al Amal Bank. One is the banking system, which is secure, integrated internally within the bank, and the other system, which is the transfer systems. That transfers actually links to the system of our agents worldwide. Nationwide. Next. Those are the applications that Al Amal Bank is using to reach, this segment of the market. Those people who are, IDBs or maybe actually in a very remote area, or people who cannot get their services from the banking system, banking services. We have the BS application. Easily, you can go to Google Play, and download it. Then you can open account with the bank. Easily you can withdraw, or you will go for a cash out or cash in using one of our financial and non-financial agent to put money or to withdraw money. In addition to that, we have unconnectivity actually in certain area, mainly in a very remote area in Yemen. In Yemen, for that, we are introducing the tablet with its applications. The tablet can work offline, so they can distribute money offline. And then when they reach a connectivity area, easily can be linked with our system. Next. With more focus of electronic money or the mobile money, we have these applications called e-money application. BS is licensed by Central Bank of Yemen. There are more than 8, maybe company working in that with that methodology. I mean, they are having their own application, and the competition is very high in Yemen. Although there is still no national switch actually in the country, and the client is still the client of the provider only, not the banking sector. But actually, the number is growing. You can see that more than 5,000 financial agents are using that applications, and that application and the settlement is easily with Al Amal Bank, as long as every agents having a current account with Al Amal Bank. It is used by also the non-financial agent as well. All bank services are providing through that applications, either loan, savings, transfer, or cash assistance. For the personal usage of that application, the person can transfer money easily from his place. There is no need to go to the money exchange store or to go to whatever to go to a bank. Also, you can pay your utilities bills easily, using the features in that application. Also, purchasing from the point of sales, e-purchasing. We started recently to introduce the electronic, loan and the electronic letter of guarantee, especially for those, small and contractors and the small, merchants. As well as, the main usage for our application is for the cash assistance in an area that people actually, need for assistance from international player. Next.
Thank you, Mohammed. Due to the time, maybe I would offer you to use a couple of minutes beyond the agenda to cover a couple of questions that we have received from the chat box.
Good.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your valuable input and sharing really this long history of experience from Yemen, from Amal Bank. It is really appreciated to hear the way and the steps that you've taken with your team to reach these results in the end. There are two questions. I think we can share the screen. Yes. So the first question to you, we just received it. So the first one, what guarantees do you rely on and take from these categories to ensure payment? So what kind of guarantees? What kind of guarantees you consider, you rely to ensure the repayments?
Good question. You know, microfinance meaning there is no guarantee at all. The good guarantees is to take, you know, the beneficiary from one stage to the other, and to show him his way. You know that there is an incentive when you pay us back, you know, your money. But we took guarantee from the one who is in the middle. For example, you know, the financial, you know, agent. We took guarantee so he can open a current account with the bank and until certain limit, and we give him a kind of ceiling so he can disburse money until that to reach that ceiling. Then we can deduct this money easily from his account or but deposit the money to his accounts. But when with the poor people, the guarantee is the largest guarantee is the third party guarantee, you know, merely from society. It's worth mentioning that in Yemen, mainly in Yemen, like any other countries, sometimes to show the name of a lady in rural areas is not allowed. How to ask for a guarantee, how to ask for a guarantee. But actually, guarantee, you know, from the society is available for everyone in Yemen.
Okay. Does it also apply for the collateral? So you don't ask for collateral?
No, we ask for a collateral, but not like the collateral banking is asking for. So I mean, those people don't have buildings, for example, or the apartment actually to rent it with the bank. But those people have their business. So we ask a collateral from next door, for example, you know, to guarantee the business. We ask, for example, from the one who is in the community with a good reputation, you know. We ask sometimes for a solidarity guarantee. You know, three of people or four people can guarantee each other. You know, the hardest guarantee is to go to the big merchants to to guarantee, you know, the client, and those just happened in the low and up and the higher amounts of money only.
Okay, and thanks. And that lead us to the last question for your session from the persons we have received. So, do you offer loan product with embedded insurance solutions policy? What role do financial services compliant with Sharia from the Amal Bank perspective?
Well, that's a good question. You know, unfortunately, you know, microfinance and industry in Yemen, a lack of micro insurance. So the microfinance industry is growing and has a good experience actually during the past 10 years, but there is no microfinance insurance at all. There is a kind of momentum here and there, you know, to establish a fund in Yemen, or, you know, for some, you know, micro insurance, for some insurance company to go, but it's still far away. And instead of that, every microfinance institution, almost every microfinance institution in Yemen, develop its own vehicles actually to insure their money and to insure their clients. For internally, Al Bank established a fund called the insurance funds. That fund actually we deduct, you know, or we add certain percentage actually to our clients, and we deduct a percentage from our profit to support that fund. So we use it in the case of death, disability happened to our client, or for example, what's going on right now in Yemen, if there is a kind of a crisis or bombing or whatever. You know.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the information you have shared. I think we exceeded the time, so we need around 5 more minutes to close today's webinar. And I would like to ask a couple of questions also to the other speakers, because during the webinar, we were receiving some questions addressed to them. Thank you, Muhammad, for your input. So now the next question is to Vina. So how can informal financial services like village savings and loan associations be linked to digital social assistance?
Thanks. I just responded to that in the chat. So
you did it.
Yeah.
If you did it.
No. Let me just reply. I don't know about social assistance per se, but VSLAs, in terms of refugee population, this is definitely something we are working with, trying to see if VSLA models and cooperatives can be developed within the forcibly displaced community as a way to kind of have, leverage the power of the numbers and then link them to digital financial services like group savings, group credit, so on and so forth for the members of the VSLAs to access. But in terms of social assistance or social security net, that I don't have any experience and I can't speak about it. But this is something that I can bring up. Over. Thank you.
Thank you, Vina. And another question to Chloe. What is the solution of dealing with women who only like to reach through their husband or any man in the family, considering the social aspect and the how you can and WFP deal with these kind of situations? And it is the fact in some regions.
Thank you. I also answered in the chat, I think, but I'm happy to elaborate here. So basically, it's a very important point. The principle is really to listen to people first, to understand their preferences, their social context. Often what we see is that men in the community have a huge role to play. For instance, in Uganda, WFP engage with men in the community and train them so that they can become champions and explain to other men in the community why it makes sense for the woman in the household to receive cash transfers on behalf of the household. So that's one point. Now, how we do that, so as part of our new cash policy, we will try to prioritize women as the main recipients of cash transfers. This is really a huge shift in the way we've done things in the past. So previously, when most of our assistance was done in kind, WFP has always prioritized women and it was the case for in kind also assistance and really to advance gender equality. Now, when we transition to cash transfers, what we saw is that men tend to become the recipient of the cash transfer because we've been using the head of the household approach, where traditionally, basically the head of the household in many countries is the one who will receive the cash transfers. So what we're trying now with this new policy is really to challenge a bit that thinking and really to prioritize women as a woman adult in the household to receive cash transfers. This can, depending on the context, of course, we have to navigate social norms. So in some countries, it can be done more easily than others. In Haiti, for instance, that was done more easily. And of course, it comes with a lot of sensitization messages so that we do not create more harm in the community. This is really not what we want to do. But yes, social norms is a key aspect that we need to take into account and into program design, really. Thank you. I hope it answered the question.
Yeah, thank you, Chloe. I think we are almost done with our agenda. Sorry for the delay and taking 11 minutes, 12 minutes from your time beyond the schedule. Before closing, I would like to thank once more all our speakers for their insightful information and sharing the experience. Before closing, I would like to ask the participants to evaluate today's session. My colleague already post the link in the chat box. Please dedicate a couple of minutes to fill this evaluation. Even you can stay in the webinar for 1-2 minutes, fill it to ensure that you did it. Anyway, we are going to send during the day the recording of this webinar with the presentations of the speakers and also the link of this evaluation form, just in case you couldn't manage to fill it during the webinar. Other than that, I want to use the opportunity to inform you that we are going to have another webinar this Thursday, and the topic will be digital lending and savings enabled by mobile e-wallets. It will be on Thursday, 3rd of August at 12 p.m. Amman time. It is already online. You can go through the link and register yourself, and looking forward for your participation in the upcoming webinars. Thank you once more for the speakers and for the participants. Indeed, it was one of the active webinars. We received questions, and we will going to cross-check the chat box once more after the webinar in case we find some questions that we couldn't manage to provide the answers. We are going to ask our speakers to provide their answers in a written form, and we will share with you later through an email. Thank you once more, and enjoy your day, and see you soon on Thursday.